If you want to stay up to date with all current hip hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to become part of this community. So, I only thought it was right to make a video about a legend that has very recently passed away. And some of you already know what I'm talking about. I'm, of course, talking about the DMX situation. He recently passed away due to an overdose that he was sent to the hospital with. Over the course of his hospital stay, we've gotten several news. Some of them were false from his lawyer, for example, who said that he was breathing on his own again, which then was not the case, and he had some false information. So there was a lot of very, ups and downs surrounding this whole thing. But eventually, I just want to say rest in peace to a legend in hip hop, to a highly influential figure in the game whose influence will be felt and heard for years to come, for decades to come in hip hop. He has opened the door for so many, new sounds and artists out there that talk about their own problems, that are very raw and very unfiltered on the mic, and who just, let kind of their own personality in its fullest extent flow into the music. Rest in peace to DMX. X, you will live forever. It's really sad to see someone like this go. Someone who's been struggling with addiction, and someone who's been having these problems in his personal life for decades now. Someone who has publicly also documented the struggle with addiction. But also someone who we know as a genuinely good person. Someone who we know as very authentic, very real. I just finished watching Sean C's video on this. He kind of also said this was one of the most important factors about DMX was his realness, like that he is the definition of real. Now, I can't say that I have been listening to his music ever, since he was popping. I'm still a young dude. I'm 18 years old, so I of course wasn't like listening to X when in the late 90s and early 2000s. But I have of course went back and listened to his most famous records and his most influential records back then. And something that really I think is very interesting also for the younger viewers among you is something that came to my mind when we were going through this list of the best rapper of each year that Complex did a couple of weeks or months ago, and that I made a video about. And DMX was on there for, I think it was 90 something, the year that It's Dark and Hell is Hot came out. And what many people don't realize nowadays, because he is just not such, not a prominent, in-your-face figure nowadays, and wasn't even back then, but this is one of the best-selling artists in hip-hop history. When I was watching Sean's video on this, he said that, back then around this time, every record he dropped sold at least 250,000 first week. And, I don't know the exact facts and the exact sales figures, but this is, what I had in my mind too. And he had, platinum albums, platinum singles, and he is not really, in that conversation of like goats that we always bring up Jay-Z and Eminem around that time, the early 2000s. But DMX is often forgotten, and I think that's even more so now prevalent in a new generation of artists who don't really show their influence and show that X was really someone who, pioneered talking about your own problems, your own things you struggle with in your music, very raw, and who also, was one of the first people to do this more screaming kind of dark hip hop sound on a commercially incredibly successful level. And this, as I said, opened up the doors for so much, so many different sounds in hip hop after him, and we can only be forever grateful for that. And I think a lot of new artists can take a lot from DMX. First of all, we can talk about how he was 50 years old when he passed away a couple of days ago. So it's not like he was a very young dude who passed away due to his drug problem, but he has been struggling with this, and it's not something that he did for a certain lifestyle, but is rather something that he actually had to cope with. And to see these long-term effects of someone struggling with this for many years, also publicly, is just something that, has now caught up to him. And maybe, some younger people can take from this. Maybe some young people can see, oh, I might, find it cool to pop some pills now, but I know when I'm 50, I'll have the same fate as X unfortunately did now. And maybe this is a wake-up call. I can only hope. I know this will not, resonate with everyone, but maybe some people will take some positive, I don't want to say some positive out of this, but maybe some people can learn from this. Maybe some people can reflect on their own lives and reflect on their own lifestyles from this. Because as I said, the really important thing is that, or the really interesting thing about this is not a young dude. This man has been struggling with this for his entire life. And we've seen him go through his ups and downs. And that's why it's so sad and so heartbreaking to see him, to see his life end like this. That's why I'm saying rest in peace in this case. Now, another thing that I wanted to bring up, besides the fact that, maybe young people can look to him to kind of reflect on their own lives, is also that maybe we can learn from him what the importance of being real is, because this man was incredibly successful by being so unfiltered, by being just talking about his own problems and doing this in a way that resonated with a lot of people back then. Like this was before we had Juice WRLD and XXXTentacion, who are so famous for people recognizing their own problems in them. Of course, this is another level. You can kind of say that they're not as influential as DMX, of course, but DMX was one of the first people that really did this on the level that he did. So that's why this type of hip-hop was even now so popular like it is. And we should give credit where it's due. DMX has influenced so many generations of hip-hop and so many different sounds of hip-hop to come. And rest in peace to a legend. His influence will never be gone. His name will never be forgotten. I hope that I could, give you some more information, maybe to some of y'all who didn't really know his story or know how important he really was in hip-hop, because I think it's very crucial and important to look back on the older days of hip-hop and kind of recognize where some sounds are coming from nowadays. So yeah, let me know how you kind of see this. Do you think that we can learn something from this? And yeah, prayers go out to his family. Rest in peace to DMX forever. If you watched this video to the end and liked it, and you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that like button, and go follow my social media and blog down in the description. It really helps me out. Until the next one, y'all have an incredible day, and y'all take care.